Hey everybody, welcome to part 2 of my Samurai Spirits video series. In part 2, I'm going to show you exactly what the game looks like when it's played. I have the game set up for a 3 samurai game. Now remember, when you have a 3 samurai game played on the normal difficulty, that means we're going to get the amount of barricades equal to our samurais plus 2. So that means we're going to start with 5 barricades. O will start with the 6 farmsteads. O will start with the 3 villagers. And since we have 3 samurais, that means the Raider deck is going to have 21 cards. 3 times 7 equals 21. We have to pay through 3 rounds. At the end of the first round, if we survive, which shouldn't be too hard with a 3 samurai game, we're going to add in 3 lieutenants. And if we survive through the second round, we're going to add in 3 more bosses. If we make it through the third round with at least 1 farmstead and with at least 1 villager left still in the village, we're going to win. If we lose one of our samurais, if we lose all our farmsteads, or if we lose all of our villagers, we're going to lose and suffer utter humiliating defeat. I picked Kanbai, I picked Heihachi, and I also picked Gorobai. Now, the reason why I picked these guys is they have some really good synergy to work together very, very well. And not only that, their special abilities are going to allow me to do the support action a little bit more efficiently, which is something you don't see too often in the lower samurai count games. When you get in the 5, 6, and 7 samurai count games, it's very, very common to see a lot of the support actions happening. Lower player counts, not so much, but definitely it's going to happen a little more because you're going to see that Kanbai, his special ability is he's immune to any odd-numbered raiders that happen to be in the battle stack. Heihachi's talent and also support action means that he can move any even number cards he draws with a fight action either over to Gorobai or he can move over to Kanbai, which is allow him to shuffle some of the raiders around. And finally, Gorobai has the special ability that he is immune to the damage from any even numbered raiders that happen to be in the battle stack. Now, the reason why these guys are really going to be good for support actions, because remember, anytime you take a support action, the top raider in the raider stack is going to move to the infiltrator stack. Well, Kanbai has a very good Ki ability, which allows them to take cards from the infiltrator stack and put them into the graveyard, which is really, really nice. It's also going to work very, very well with Gorobai's ability, which he can take cards from the Raider stack and move them directly to the graveyard. And finally, Heihachi has the ability, when he activates his Ki, is he can start rebuilding some of these barricades. Now remember, at the start of this game, since we're playing with the normal difficulty, we only have 5 barricades. That's the maximum amount of barricades we can ever have in the game. We can never have more than the amount of samurais plus 2. Even if I activate my Ki while I still have 5 barricades up, I can't build a 6 because 5 is the absolute hard limit for a 3-player samurai game. Our very first samurai is going to be Kanbai. He's going to be the very first one. Then we're just going to simply go in a nice circular pattern, going from Kanbai to Heihachi to Gorobai. And then we're going to start with Kanbai. He's going to be our very first samurai. Now, the very first action you need to do on your turn is if you have any cards in your battle line, you need to suffer any effects from the top card in your battle line. At the start of the game, that doesn't happen, so we have pretty much 2 options we can do at the start of the game with our first samurai. We can either choose to do a fight action, which will give us a card in our battle line or in our defense line, or the other thing is we can do a support action, sending our immunity to 1, 3s, and 5s to either Heihachi or to Gorobai. And if we actually send it over to Gorobai, we're going to ensure that Gorobai won't take any damage at all, because that'll make him immune to 1s, 3s, and 5s, and he already has the ability to be immune to 2s, 4s, and 6s. But we really don't have any cards out yet. We don't need to worry about it. So we're going to go ahead and skip a support action. We're definitely not going to pass. And we're just going to go ahead and encounter and decide to fight the very top card of the Raider deck. So we announce our action is we're going to do a fight action. So we're going to draw the very top card of the Raider deck. We're going to flip it over and see exactly what we're going to encounter. Our very first Raider is a 4-strength Raider, which is the strongest kind of Raider we can get in round number 1. Remember, in round 2, we're going to have the 5 strengths, and in round 3, we're going to have the 6 strength, the boss Raiders, but we don't need to worry about them yet. The most powerful ones we encounter right now are strength 4s. Now, the nice thing, if I put him in my battle line, since he's even, I don't get to use my special ability, so if I do take him in my battle line, you'll notice that he has no special attack power on his lower left-hand corner, so if he was in my battle line, I wouldn't have to worry about him at all, and that would actually be a pretty darn decent decision, except I've learned by numerous plays of this game with lower count samurais that the dolls are very, very hard to come by, and it's actually impossible occasionally, if you get a really bad shuffle, to even win the game. Just do the dolls, and I'm not going to get into that into this gameplay, but during my review, I'm definitely going to bring that up to explain exactly what I mean by that. So Having said that, and knowing what I know after playing this game quite a few times, I'm actually going to go ahead and take advantage of the fact that I got my very first doll, which is going to be a villager. Now remember, if I don't get a doll card on the defense side for every one of our samurais, we're going to have to sacrifice a villager for every one of those that we're lacking. So we definitely don't want to do that, especially since there's only 3 villagers for the entire game. So we're going to go ahead and defend against this raider. That's going to end Kanbai's turn. Our battle stack is not moved at all, so we don't have to worry about our Ki or the possibility of any burning happening to the village. That's going to end this player's turn. We now are going to move over to Heihachi, who needs to make a decision what they want to do on their turn. The first thing we need to do at the start of every samurai's turn is we need to check our battle stack and make sure we don't have any battle effects to worry about. Since this is the first round for the samurai, we don't have to worry about anything. So now we need to make a decision if we want to do a fight action, if we want to do a support action, or if we want to pass and end our turn for our samurai. Obviously, we don't want to do that because there's no reason to do that. We're not in any danger. We're not wounded. Nothing really to worry about this time. So we have 2 options we can do. There's still 20 cards left in the raider stack. Remember, there's 21 cards. We already have 1 in play, and we have to survive 21 of these cards to survive this round. If I were to use a support action and move this support token over here to the Kanbai, when his turn comes back around, if he gets an even card, he could send it over to the Gorobai Samurai, ensuring that he puts an even card on top. And remember, the top card is the one that's going to affect your samurai, and if I put an even card on top, since he's immune to all even powers due to his special ability or his talent, that means that I'm going to make him immune to any bad things that can happen, such as wounds or such as burning or anything like that. The only thing I have to worry about is if I do a support action, one of the raiders is going to sneak by my samurai and infiltrate the village at the end of the round. But I have the special Ki ability of Kanbai to remove cards from the infiltrator stack and put them in the graveyard, so I'm not really as concerned about that as I could be. So just to show you how the game plays and show you some variety, I'm actually going to choose to do the support action with Heihachi, and we're going to move his special ability over here to Kanbai, who can now use his support action on his turn if he gets an even card, and move that even card either to Heihachi or move it to Gorobai, and that's Heihachi's action. And since he did a support action, we're going to take the top card of the raider stack. We're not going to look at it. We're going to put it in the infiltrator space of the village. That's going to end Heihachi's turn because we don't have to worry about our battle stack. That's Heihachi's turn. We're now going to move over to Gorobai's turn and figure out what they're going to do for their turn. Of course, the Gorobai player, for the very first thing, they need to decide to see if they have any cards in their battle stack. They don't. So they don't have to worry about taking any damage or any special negative effects that may affect them. So they need to decide if they want to do a fight action, support action, or pass. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a fight action. We're going to draw the top card of the Raider deck, and we're going to get a Strength 1 Raider that also is going to infiltrate a house if we don't get the house part taken care of, the farmstead. And since he's an odd number card, if I put him in my battle stack, when my turn comes back around, since it's an odd card and I'm only immune to even cards, I'm going to start taking damage immediately every time this samurai's turn comes back up. So it's going to be a pretty obvious decision what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and defend against this card. Now remember, you can only defend against each type 1 time, so I can only defend against 1 farm, 1 of the direct injuries to the samurai, and only defend against 1 of the villagers. So I've done my 1 defense for the farm. That's Gorobai's turn. My battle track isn't in any state I need to worry about. That's going to end his turn, and we're now back to the Kanbai Samurai's turn. Kanbai currently doesn't have anything as battle stack, so we're not going to take any damage at the start of our turn. We're going to go ahead and do a fight action. Flip over the top card and see exactly what we're going to get. We're going to get a Strength 2. It is a house, and it's also a flame symbol. So if we put this card right here, we know that at the start of every one of our turns with the Kanbai player, we're going to have to burn down barricades starting, and once all the barricades are done, we're going to have to start burning down some of these farmsteads if he remains the top card in our battle deck. Alternately, we could defend against this card, put it on our defense side, and that'd be our only defense for any of the houses. Or what we can do is we can go ahead and take advantage of our support token that we managed to get from Heihachi, which means that any even cards we draw, we can either send to Heihachi or we can send to Gorobai. And now remember, Gorobai is immune to all cards that happen to be an even number. So we're going to go ahead and take advantage of that special ability from the support action of Heihachi. We're going to move this card all the way over here to Gorobai, who's going to move down to level 2 on the battle track. And the really nice thing is when his turn comes around, he's not going to take any damage at all from this card because he's immune to all even number Raider cards. Really good play there. Also allows us to show you some of the actions you can do with the support actions. That's going to end the Combi player's turn. We don't have any battle actions to worry about. Our battle track isn't at any position we need to worry about. We can now move to the Heihachi player, who also has nothing to worry about at the start of his turn. The Heihachi player, for the start of his turn, nothing in the battle stack. We need to make a decision what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and fight one of the Raiders, flip it over, and see exactly what we're going to do with. It's going to be a level 1 Raider, who also is going to have the unfortunate thing that if he goes into our battle stack, which will prevent us from ever taking the support action as long as this is a top Raider in our battle stack, because he prevents us from taking any support actions. Now, it doesn't stop us from receiving support actions, it just stops us from actually taking the support action. That'll move our battle stack up to 1, so it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But we kind of like the thought of being able to support other players, and we haven't defended a farmhouse yet, so we're going to go ahead and place this on the defense side. Protecting one of our farmhouses, our battle stack, our battle track is still at 0. Don't have to worry about it, so don't have to worry about any effects there. We've taken care of one of the cards. Heihachi's turn is over. We now move over to the Gorobai player. The Gorobai player, for the start of their turn, they have to take any damage from the lower left-hand corner of the top card currently in their battle stack, except we know this is an even numbered card. We're immune to all even numbered cards, so no negative effect is going to happen to us. So we're going to immediately move past that and decide if we want to take a fight action, if we want to take a support action, or if we're going to go ahead and pass. Well, we only have 4 cards of the 21 we've gone through, so we're going to go ahead and decide to fight. Turn over the top card of the Raider deck and see that we're going to get a level 3. It's going to be a doll, and it's also, if it's the top card of our fight stack, since it's an odd, it is going to affect us if we have it as a top card of our fight stack, and it's also going to force us to start throwing more Raiders over onto Heihachi's battle stack, which is something we really don't want to happen quite yet, since he doesn't have the nice immunities of these 2 samurai. So we're going to look at the fact that it's a doll, and knowing the fact that dolls are a little bit more difficult and something you want to take advantage of anytime you get them, especially in the lower samurai count games, we're going to go ahead and decide to defend against the samurai, ensuring that we're still going to get the benefits of our special ability when our next turn comes around. That's going to end our turn. We now have 5 of the 21 Raiders already in play. Actually, 6 of the 21 Raiders already in play. We're actually doing very, very well. That's going to end our turn. Since our battle track is not in any position to cause us any problems, we're now going to move back over to Kanbai's turn. We have nothing to worry about in our battle track. We're going to go ahead and take a fight action, turn over the top card of our fight deck, and we're going to see that's a doll. So we cannot defend against this card because we already have a doll in play. It is an odd numbered card though. We're immune to all odd numbered cards, even though it would normally do damage to us. Since we're immune to all odd numbered cards, we're not really going to worry about this. We're going to actually go ahead and decide to battle this, even though we technically don't really have a choice in the matter, since we've already played one of our cards to defend with one of the doll symbols or the villager symbol. So we're going to move our battle track down to 3. That's going to end our turn. Our battle track isn't in a position where we need to worry about anything. So now we're going to move back over to the Heihachi player's turn, who also has nothing to worry about on their battle track at the start of the turn. So they're going to decide to either fight, support, or pass. And we're just going to go ahead and decide that we're going to go ahead and fight. We're going to turn over the top card of their deck, which is going to be an even numbered card, which we can control. It's also going to be a house, which we can't defend against since we already have a house. And if we put it as part of our battle track, we know we're going to start taking wounds every time our turn comes back around. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take advantage of our special talent, which allows us to take any even number card and either shift it to the right or shift it to the left. Well, we're going to go ahead and shift it to the right because even though normally that would be a wound, Gorobai is immune to all even number cards. Even though his battle track is going to go up to 4, when his turn starts next round, he's not going to take a wound because it's an even number card, keeping him perfectly safe. Heihachi's turn is over. Let's go over to Gorobai's turn. For the Gorobai's player's turn, we don't have to worry about any Raider card effects because our top card is currently an even card. So we can go ahead and bypass that and decide what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead, since things are going extremely well for us right now, we're going to go ahead and decide to fight. We're going to draw the top card of the stack, and we're going to see that it's an odd numbered card. It's got a hat, and it's also got a wound symbol. So if we were to put this over here in a battle track, That means our top card would now be an odd number card, which means we would not have access to our special ability to stop the 1 damage, but we can actually defend against this card because we see it's a hat symbol. We haven't actually defended against a hat symbol yet, so if we put it over here, we have now defended against all 3 of the things we need to worry about before the end of the round. We're still able to take advantage of our special ability, putting us in very good shape. So that's the action we're actually going to do with that fight. That ends our turn, and let's go ahead and go back to the combat player's turn, who is not going to take any damage at all, even though normally they would, because it's an odd card. We're immune to all odd cards, so let's go ahead and make our decision. We're actually doing very, very well right now. There's only 12 cards left in the stack, and we know that because there's 8 cards here, plus 1 equals 9, and you're actually free to count the cards anytime you want. You can't look at these or these, but you're free to count them anytime you want. So we want to keep this card on top if we can, since it's an odd card, and we're going to go ahead and take the fight action. Draw the top card, which also happens to be an odd card. It's got the doll symbol. We can't defend against it since we already have one of the doll symbols in play. So the only option we have is to put it on our battle track. Luckily, since it's an odd card, we don't have to worry about taking damage on future turns because, again, we are immune to all odd cards. So all we have to do is adjust our battle track from 3 all the way down to 4, and that's going to end our turn since our battle track is not in a position to cause us any trouble. Let's go ahead and move back to the Heihachi Samurai's turn and figure out what we want to do for our turn. The Heihachi player, for their turn, they're going to go ahead and take a fight action. Since they don't have any battle actions to be concerned about, they're going to draw the top card of the Raider deck, and they're going to see that it's an even number card with a wound symbol and a hat. So now we actually have 2 decisions we can make this turn. We can defend and take care of our hat requirement that we need to get at least 1 card of before the end of the round, otherwise we're going to take a point of damage. Or we can use our special ability to take any even number card and shift it to the left, or we can shift it to the right. If we shifted it to the right, we'd put on this person's battle track, putting them at 6, and they wouldn't take any of the damage at all, except for the fact that we still don't have a hat symbol. We definitely want to do that. And if we go ahead and defend against it, we don't have to worry about any of the wounds coming on us. So the best decision for the Heihachi player, so we're going to defend against the hat, not worry about our battle track, and move on over to the Gorobai Samurai's turn. Again, Gorobai, due to his very nice, very powerful talent, makes him immune to damage from any even number cards. Top card's even though normally be a wound. His talent makes him immune. He's not going to worry about it. He's going to go ahead and fight. Draw the top card, which happens to be an odd number. And unfortunately, we're going to have to put this on our battle track because doll symbol has already been taken care of, so we can't use it, which is very unfortunate. And it's going to be moved over to our battle track. It's going to move our battle track down from 4 to 5. And if we don't find a way to cover this card before our turn comes back around again, it's going to send an Infiltrator from the Raider stack into the Infiltrator stack, possibly causing more havoc and destruction when the end of the round comes around. Our battle track isn't anywhere we need to worry about, so we're going to stop being concerned with Gorobai. We're going to move over to Kanbai, and the first thing we need to do is see if there's any battle effects that are going to affect us. Since it's an odd number card and we're immune to all odd cards, we're not going to take that wound damage, so we need to decide if we're going to fight or if we're going to do a support action. So just to show you how everything could work, and this isn't a really good decision to do right now because there's better things we can do, but just to show you how it all can work, we're actually going to go ahead and choose to do the support action. We're going to transfer the support token all the way over here to Gorobai, which means on his turn, he's not going to have to worry about that infiltrate action. Although, since he did a support action, he's still going to have to let one of the Raiders sneak past him and go into the infiltrator stack. So it's pretty much a wash what we've done. Probably not the best decision, but at least it shows you how the game works. That's going to end Kanbai's turn. We're going to move over to Heihachi. Again, still no battle effects for him, which is very, very nice. We're going to flip over the top card, and it's going to be very, very nice for us because it's going to be an even number card. We have no problem shifting that card all the way over here to the Gorobai character, which is going to move our track all the way up to 7. Still not at the point where we need to be concerned, and we're actually doing really good. That's going to end Heihachi's turn, and now we get to move all the way over to the Gorobai player's turn, who is now currently immune to odd numbers and is currently immune to even numbers. So it doesn't matter what current card is currently at the top of the battle stack. He's pretty much immune to anything. So we don't have to worry about any wounds coming onto us. So we just need to figure out if we want to fight a card, if we want to do a support action, or if we want to go ahead and pass. There's currently only 7 cards left in the Raider stack, so we're not stressing out too much, and we're not going to decide to pass because we figure between our remaining 3 samurai, they're each only going to get a maximum of 2, maybe a third samurai that I'm going to have to deal with. especially since we know that he still needs 2 more cards to defend against, and he still needs 1 more card to defend against, so we're not going to worry about passing. We're not going to do a support action. We're just going to go ahead and decide to fight. Take the top card of the deck, and hopefully it's a number 2 or number 1. Unfortunately, we're going to draw number 3, which is going to be a bad thing for us, but at least it's also going to show you exactly what happens when our battle track gets succeeded. So since we cannot defend against this card, since we can't shift it away, we're going to go ahead and put it on the bottom of our battle track. Our battle track is now moved up to the point where we're at 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, plus 2 more is 7, plus 3 is 10. That's going to move us all the way down to the bottom, past our Ki value, which means 2 things are going to happen. First, something in the village is going to burn. Luckily, we still have barricades that's going to prevent one of the farmsteads from being burned down. So we're okay on that aspect. And now the next thing that happens is if we don't find a way to reduce our battle line, which isn't going to happen with the samurais we have here, but if we don't find a way to do that before our turn comes back around, we're going to have to pass, so we don't have an option to pass. It's going to be something we have to do. Luckily, we filled up all our defense cards before that can happen, so we're not going to stress over that too much. Now this support token, even though we didn't use it, we have to return it to its owner, because remember, you only keep a support token till the end of your turn. Whether you use it or not, it still has to be returned to its owner. That's going to end the Gorobai player's turn. We're now going to move back to Kanbai, who has a couple cards left on the battle stack, and they need to figure out exactly what they're going to do. Kanbai is doing very, very well. Remember, odd card on top. He's immune to odd cards. He's going to go ahead and decide to take a fight action, because we need to get through the last 6 of these cards before we start having a whole bunch of negative things that will affect our village. So we're going to go ahead and choose the fight. We're going to draw an odd card. We're going to go ahead and decide if we want to take the hat and defend against it, or if we want to add it to our battle track. Well, since it looks like things are going to be coming very close to ending for this round, and we want to cover all the things we need to defend against, we're going to add this card to our defense track, ensuring that the only thing we need left is a farmstead. That ends our turn. Our battle track isn't at its point of concern. Let's go ahead and move over to Heihachi, who has nothing to worry about on his battle track, so he's also going to go ahead and decide to fight and figure out exactly what he needs to do with this level 2 card. Heihachi is going to go ahead and decide to use his power to pass this card along. Well, remember that we don't have a lot of cards left, but we can't really defend against it since we've already taken our hat as our defense symbol. We're still looking for our doll, but we've already used the defense here. We could put this card on our battle line if we wanted to, but we already know that Gorobai is going to be forced to pass when his turn comes around. So might as well just add some more cards, since we might as well do that for him, since we can pass it along. And also because since this is an even card, we don't have to worry about any negatives that may come from it. Even though technically this card doesn't have any negatives associated with it, I'm just trying to show you how the game plays. So that's going to end the Heihachi player's turn. We're now going to move to Gorobai, who again is not going to take any damage, because not only is it an even card, there's no damage actually attached to this card, but since our Ki track, or our battle track, is past our Ki level, we are going to have to pass. That's going to end the turn for the Gorobai player. They're out of it for the rest of the round. They cannot take any more actions, cannot receive cards, and cannot use any more support actions. The rest of the round is going to be between Kanbai and Heihachi, who have to go through the last of these Raider cards, while still trying to make sure they get their defenses taken care of, so we don't take any more negatives in the village before the end of the round. It's now the Kanbai player's turn. Remember, our top card is odd. We're immune to all odd cards, and we're still trying to find that last house, so we don't have to worry about that during the end of round actions that can affect the village. So we're hoping to fight and manage to find a farmstead. So we're going to go ahead and do the fight action, flip over the top card, and fortunately we did find a farmstead. And since there's not a lot of cards left in the Raider stack, we definitely want to go ahead and defend against this card. Even though technically we may want to raise our Ki, or our battle track up to try to hit that Ki to remove these 2 infiltrators, it's better to completely avoid taking a definite loss. Even though these are possible losses, that would be a definite loss. These are just possible losses. We're going to go ahead and gamble, take that card, end our turn, and we're now going to move over to Heihachi's turn, who is also going to go ahead and decide to take a battle action, since we don't have any cards to worry about in our battle line. We're going to flip over the top card of the battle stack. We're going to see that it's a level 3 Raider. It also happens to be a doll. And if we put in our battle stack, or a battle line, we're going to see that we're not going to be able to place any more cards on our defense side, which would cause us lots of problems. And we don't want to do that, especially since we need the doll or the villager. So we're going to go ahead and take that defense action right now, which means all 3 of our samurais have managed to defend against all 3 of the possibilities, the loss of a villager, the loss of a farm, and the damage or the taking of a wound at the end of the round. So all of our samurai are actually pretty safe, and we only have 2 cards left to take care of. We're actually doing really good and sitting in very good shape. Heihachi's turn is over. We're going to go ahead and move back to Kanbai, who again is not going to take any wounds. They're going to go ahead and decide to take a fight action. They're going to go ahead and add that card to their battle line. 3 plus 2 is 5. Our battle line is currently set at 5. We're not going to be taking any damage from that because, again, it's odd. And there's only 1 card left, so we're actually doing really, really well. Kanbai's turn is over. Back to Heihachi. Again, nothing in his battle line, so no negative effects. Going to take the fight action. Turn over the very last card. Add it to his battle line. Move his battle line to level 1. That ends the Raider stack, and anytime the Raider stack is empty, the turn or the round immediately ends, and we're going to go ahead and do the end of round phase and figure out exactly what's going to happen to our 3 samurai and to the village. So the first thing we need to do for our end of phase or our end of round is to make sure that we manage to defend against everything. So Kanbai, Heihachi, and Gorobai have managed to defend against personal attack, raiders attacking the farmsteads, and also kidnapping villagers. And we've done that for all of our samurai. So that means there's going to be no extra special things happening to the village or happening to our samurai. But just to show you what would have happened if, for example, Heihachi had been unable to defend against these 3 things, we would be taking 1 wound because we didn't defend against the hat. We would be removing 1 villager, and also, since we didn't defend one of the farmsteads, we'd have to remove one of the farmsteads randomly from the board, whichever one we picked. Now, even though we still have barricades, that's the trick. If we didn't defend against a farmstead, we're going to remove one of the farmsteads from the board because one of these evil raiders has managed to infiltrate and burn down and damage one of the farmsteads in the village. Fortunately, that's not what happened. We're not going to suffer any of those negative effects because we were able to make sure we defended versus all 3 of those things, making sure our samurais are actually in very good shape at the end of the very first round. Now that we've checked for all the defense, we're going to figure out exactly what bonuses we're going to get for every surviving villager that we manage to keep alive. So we're going to flip them over and figure out exactly which bonuses we're going to get. The very first bonus we're going to get is we're going to get an extra barricade. And since we're not past our barricade maximum level yet, we're going to add the barricade back onto the board. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to look and we're going to see that one of the infiltrators in the infiltrator stack is going to be sent immediately to the graveyard. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to flip over the final villager and see that if any one of our samurai was injured, and we do happen to have an injured samurai right now. Now I know technically the samurai actually wasn't injured. They only put the injury marker there as an example to show you how the game played. But I left it there just to show you exactly how the villagers are going to interact at the end of the round. And since we have the villager left alive who's going to heal one of our samurais, we're going to go ahead and remove that 1 wound token from that samurai. And then we're going to take all 3 of the villagers and we're going to go ahead and randomize them again so we don't know which villager is which. We're going to return each one of those villagers back to the board. And now we're going to go ahead and collect all the raiders. We're going to form them back into another raider stack after we make things a little bit more difficult for us. And after we check the remaining infiltrator cards to see if they're going to do any damage to the village. So the first thing we need to do is flip over the infiltrator card. See if we're going to get a flame symbol in the lower right hand corner. If we would have had a flame symbol, we would have lost barricades and or lost a farmstead. And since we don't have any flame symbols and we still got all our barricades, nothing's going to happen. So we're going to remove this card back to the raider stack. We have 3 samurais in play. We're going to look at the lieutenant stack. And we're going to add 1, 2, 3 lieutenants to the raider stack. The rest of the lieutenants are going to be removed from the game. We don't have to worry about them anymore. We're then going to shuffle up all these cards. We're going to form a new raider stack. All of our battle lines are going to return to 0. All of our samurai who passed are going to have their samurai meeple stand back up. And then the samurai who was the one who took the very last turn in the prior round is going to pass the first round token over to the right. And that player is going to become the first player for the following round, where we now have to go through 24 of these raider cards in hopes of getting through them before the farmsteads are all destroyed or all the villagers happen to be kidnapped. And then starting with a brand new starting samurai, we're simply going to do what we did before. We're going to look to see if we have any cards in our battle line. If we don't, we're going to go ahead and make a decision if we want to fight. If we want to do a support, if we want to pass, we'll choose the fight in this example. Flip over the top card, we'll see that's a level 4. No special abilities, but it does happen to be one of the villager symbols. We'll go ahead and decide to defend, turn over, move on to the next guy. No special thing to worry about. Flip it over. We're going to know that we are totally immune to odd, but we do want to take advantage of the villager because we don't want to lose the villagers. Turns over, move over to Heihachi. Flip over the top card, we'll see it's a doll. We'll go ahead and defend against that. Next player's turn, nothing to worry about. Flip over the top card. It's going to be a village farmstead. We're going to go ahead and defend against the farmstead. Back over to Kanbai. We're going to see that's a farmstead. We're going to go ahead and defend against it. And you can see how much faster the game actually does play when you're actually not having to explain things and basically just going through your actions and figuring out what your actions are going to be for every single turn. You're simply just going to keep going through everything. Going through until you manage to go through the entire Raider stack, whether they end up in your Infiltrator stack, whether they end up in the graveyard, or whether they happen to end up along the Samurais. You can finish the round. Make sure you have at least one villager and at least one farmstead left. Add 3 bosses to the stack. Start all over again if you make it through the 3rd round with at least one farmstead and at least one villager left over. You win the game. That's a complete game of how Samurai Spirit plays. I hope you enjoyed the sample gameplay video. Stick around for my final review and my final thoughts of Samurai Spirits.